Hello, boys and girls. It's story time with Uncle Mike. Today's story is called Made by Raffi, about a little boy who likes to do something different. Raffi lived with his mom and his dad and his dog Scamp. He liked giving mom and dad great big hugs, and he could run nearly as fast as Scamp. But Raffi also asked a lot of questions. Why did he feel different from the other children at school? Was it because he was the smallest in his class, or because his hair was longer than the other boys? Could it be because he liked wearing bright colors? Maybe everyone feels different, Raffi thought to himself. The other kids were always tumbling about, throwing things and yelling at each other, but Raffi didn't like noise and rough play. So at playtime, Raffi often liked to sit by himself or find a teacher to stand with, just for a little peace and quiet. One day, it was even noisier than usual in the playground. Raffi looked for a quiet spot and saw Miss Fernandez. "What are you doing?" he asked. "I'm knitting a scarf for my sister," she replied, smiling. "That's beautiful," said Raffi. "Is it hard to do?" "It just takes practice and patience," said Miss Fernandez. "Do you want me to show you?" "Yes, please," said Raffi. So Miss Fernandez put the needles into Raffi's hands. First, the wool tickled. Then he got it all tangled. Raffi was upset. But Miss Fernandez said, "Don't worry, Raffi. You didn't hurt the scarf. To fix it, you just unknit the stitches and start again. It's called tinking. That's knit backwards." They both laughed, and she helped Raffi untangle the wool. Then he tried again, and this time it worked. He was knitting, and he loved it. Raffi couldn't wait to tell Mom and Dad about knitting. He ran home from the bus stop and burst into the kitchen. "Miss Fernandez showed me how to knit, and it was really easy," he told them. "Can we get some needles and wool, please?" At the wool shop, there were so many beautiful colors of wool. When Raffi looked for red, he found crimson, magenta, and lots of other colors. And it was the same with the shades of blue and green. There was jade and emerald and turquoise and aqua. Raffi loved all the colors and the names. Then he had a great idea. He grabbed one of each color. It would be so cool to make a scarf for Dad's birthday with all the colors of the rainbow. Soon Raffi was knitting everywhere. In his bed, in the bathroom, at breakfast, even on the school bus. It was a long way to school, and some of the children teased him. And it didn't help that Dad's scarf grew to 4 meters long and trailed all down the aisle of the bus. Ruby almost tripped over it, and all the children laughed. But Raffi just wrapped the scarf around his neck 3 times and kept on knitting. That night at bedtime, Raffi had some more questions for Mom. "Mom, am I strange or weird? Why do I like to sing and draw and knit? Do you think I'm girly?" "No, Raffi, I think you are very Raffi." "Why? Is something going on at school?" "It's just that the boys at school talk about football all the time." "Mom, is there such a thing as a Tom girl?" "Tom girl? Raffi, you are our wonderful boy with your own special interests. Dad and I are very proud of you." "Or can I finish knitting Dad's scarf?" "Yes, Raff." "Mom, I love you too, darling. Good night. I love you." And Raffi snuggled down in his bed and went to sleep. Next day at school, something happened that changed everything. Mrs. O'Donnell said the class was going to put on a play. Barry would be a prince and Ruby would be a princess. Raffi put up his hand. Miss, he called out, if Barry is a prince, won't he need a royal cape? That would be nice, Raffi, said Mrs. O'Donnell, but we don't have a lot of time. Let's learn our lines and see if we can perform the play on Friday. That's only 4 days away. After school, Raffi couldn't wait to get home. He asked Mom if she would help him find some old sheets or tablecloths. They found some yellow cotton fabric and a beautiful piece of purple velvet. Raffi took it all up to his room, and this is what he did. He took a chair and draped the fabric over it. Then he took some pins and pinned the fabric together. It was purple on one side and yellow on the other side, and it made an elegant velvet cape with a beautiful yellow lining. Now Raffi just had to sew it together. He sewed around the cape as best he could. Then he folded the velvet over twice at the top to make a collar. Finally, Raffi sewed the collar to the cape and threaded a ribbon through the hole in the collar with a safety pin. When he pulled the ends of the ribbon, the cloak gathered up. Later that evening, Mom and Dad got a big surprise. There was Raffi peeping round the door with a huge grin on his face. Madam, sir, announced Raffi, ta-da! This is a royal cape for the prince to wear in the school play. Raffi's mom and dad looked at the cape in amazement. The collar stood tall and the cape swished, and it was truly a cape fit for a prince. Next morning, Raffi stuffed the cape in his knitting bag and ran to the bus. What you got there? Jerry asked, snickering. Hey, Raff, your bag got fat, Ruby shouted. It's almost as big as Jerry, snorted Barry. That almost started a fight. But Raffi just held tight to his bag. At school, he ran to Mrs. O'Donnell. Please, miss, I have something for you. Mrs. O'Donnell opened the bag slowly. A cape, she exclaimed. Did you really make this? Raffi, it's amazing. All of a sudden, everyone wanted to look. What is it? Let me see. Wait a minute, said Barry, pushing in. I'm the prince. And he grabbed the cape and he put it on. Then Raffi explained to everyone how he had found fabric at home and sewed it all by himself. All the children crowded round Raffi excitedly. No one was teasing him now. He said he was going to make me a dress. I bet he'll be famous designer someday. I bet he could make something for me. Look what Raffi did. He's my friend. He's cool. Raffi listened happily to all the chatter. He thought, maybe I could be a famous designer one day. On Dad's birthday, Raffi gave him the long rainbow-colored scarf. Dad loved it. And on Raffi's birthday, Mom made labels for Raffi to use on his finished knitting and sewing projects. Made by Raffi. A few weeks later, when Raffi was sitting in the playground, knitting as usual, Barry's ball came rolling past. Raffi picked it up and tossed it back to him. Are you making something for another school play? Asked Barry, coming over. No, Raffi said. This is for my mom's birthday. Barry started to walk away. Then he looked back at Raffi. Cool, he said, and went back to his game. Raffi smiled and went on with his knitting. And that's the end of today's story. Be sure to stay tuned for other videos, other story times with Uncle Mike.